Hello, everybody. This is Swati live from Los Angeles. We are in the middle of our 6-week long mindfulness camp. This is almost the end of our second week. We are focusing on breath this week. Next week, we will go to the next step, which is to focus on body sensations. And that is going to be a totally different experience for you compared to the breath awareness meditations that we have been doing. Yesterday, I told you about how Vipassana or mindfulness was originated in India by Gautama the Buddha. The word Buddha means enlightened. So he was called Buddha after he discovered the answer he was looking for to the question how to deal with the pains in life. So I want to take this story a little bit further. One thing was clear that Buddha was a teacher. Buddha was not out to find a religion or get any special message from God. He did not mean to start a religion. He found his own answer to how to transcend the negativity and the pain and how to go more toward joy. And he said, I want to teach this. If you want to take it, try it in your life. If you believe in it, then follow it. So that was his approach, sort of evidence-based approach. Also, there were no rituals or there was really no chanting and such things as part of the Buddha's teachings in the beginning. Those things entered later when it became more of a religion, which means that it had all the ritualistic aspects also. But that's not the part we are going to take. We are focusing on the meditation, or rather the original teachings of Buddha, which were about how to focus on the right things here and now and become aware. On that level, Buddha was really a psychologist or a philosopher. The reason I'm saying psychologist is because the answer he found for transcending negative emotions and going more toward joy, the answer was not faith-based, wasn't superstitious, or it wasn't to go out of our ordinary life and do something extraordinary or get in touch with something that we otherwise would not feel, such as a mantra or a different zone. He was very much based in reality, how to become aware of the reality. And then from that point onwards, he talked about how to transcend the negative emotions. So this is the reason why today psychologists very much are attracted to these teachings. And in order to follow these teachings, you don't even have to know about where it comes from, that Buddha was the first one who talked about these things. The truth is that not only that it is something not based on religion, it's a secular type of teaching. The other thing that has happened, it is heavily scientifically researched. So that's the other reason for some people it may seem attractive, because it is based on testing the hypothesis, the benefits that the meditation claims. And when did that happen? When did Vipassana or mindfulness actually, when did it come to the West? When did it become like a global international phenomenon, which is again secular but sacred, simple yet serious? When did it become a buzzword or a common word? So that story I'm going to tell you step by step. Today I'm going to tell you the first thing that happened which helped to bring these ideas to the West. Young people who were in Peace Corps or these kinds of things and who were looking for answers in the 60s and 70s, some of them went to the East. They went to South Asian countries, specifically India, Nepal, Thailand. And when they were looking for answers, they were also already familiar with some of these ideas. And then they, in fact, some of them lived there for 2, 3 years and they became monks. What that meant was to eat little, to wear certain clothes, to spend your entire life or entire time studying scriptures or meditating under the guidance of a well known teacher. When these people came back to the US, they started centers and groups where they were studying these kinds of things. Specifically, there were people such as Joseph Goldstein, Jack Cornfield, Sharon Salzberg. Those who are familiar with books on mindfulness meditation may also know about these names. These people, some of these people, they started a center, IMS, Insight Meditation Society, in Massachusetts, close to Boston, Barre, Massachusetts. Why is it called Insight Meditation Society? One translation of Vipassana is also insight meditation. That's another way why I call Buddha a psychologist, because as you will see, one thing that comes out of mindfulness is, comes out of being mindful and being aware, is to get insights into our problems, our body functioning, in our feelings. And we'll talk about that later. But right now, just remember that the two ways the word vipassana is used in the way in the West is mindfulness meditation, also insight meditation. There are a lot of different sects of Buddhism, but insight meditation and mindfulness meditation seems to be common denominator in all these different sects. Some sects will be more about rituals and chanting. Some sects may be more about sitting and meditating. There are different ways in which in South Asia or Southeast Asia, this particular thing is practiced. So Insight Meditation Society was started in Massachusetts, and similarly in other parts of the US, these groups were started. Now what happened since then, you will have to wait to hear that tomorrow. Today, let's again, one more time, go to our breath awareness meditation. Let's do our breath awareness meditation. If you have any question or any comment, please post it here, or you can email me at tomeditatetogether@gmail.com. One more note, if you download the app To Meditate, number 2 Meditate, you will find meditations in the voice of some of these famous mindfulness teachers. The app also gives you, when you click on the list of meditations, you will get the list of meditations, but at the same time, you will get information about each teacher, what they have started, and a little bit story about them. Some of these things we'll talk about as our camp goes on. But for the time being, let's go back to our breath awareness meditation. Choose your preferred method, and I am going to start our meditation with this gong. And let me get rid of this thing from the screen. Okay. And now I'm going to urge you guys to close your eyes, reduce the stimulations from the outside world. You can have a shawl wrapped around yourself. Try to be in a quiet place and take a few deep breaths. I'm going to start the meditation. Once you have your spinal cord straight, shoulders relaxed, and eyes closed, and take a few deep breaths. And now, breath in and breath out. And pay attention to your breath. Breath is life, breath is source of life, breath is our refuge, breath is the vital part of our existence, breath is the center, breath is our anchor. Let's observe the breath. Breath in, notice. Notice how our body is receiving the breath. And if your mind is wandering around, that's okay. Once you realize that, aha, this is my mindful moment, let me bring my attention back to the breath. Some of you may have rejuvenating feelings, more energy, more oxygen to the lungs they may feel. If so, pay attention to that feeling and the enriched experience, the refreshing feeling you may have. Some of you may be very distracted, restless. Just observe that and keep bringing your attention back to the breath. Some of you may even feel a little more sad or slow. That's okay. Just pay attention to that, notice that, and keep meditating. Breath in and breath out. And pay attention to the breath. If your mind is wandering around, bring it back to the breath. Aha, this is my mindful moment. Let my attention come back to my breath. Breath in and breath out. And pay attention to the breath again. If you're distracted, that's okay. Just bring the attention back to the breath. Every time you notice you're distracted. If you have another parallel thought process going on at the same time, just notice that there's something else in the background. As long as you notice the breath, you're completely aware of the breath. Breath is the source, breath is life, breath is the anchor. Come back to the anchor. Now, at this moment, this is how my body is receiving the breath. Each breath is different. Each new moment brings you a new breath. If you notice that your mind is wandering around, bring it back to the breath. This is how my body is receiving the breath. Breath in and breath out. And pay attention to the breath again. This moment, new moment, my breath. You're not trying to change the breath purposely. You're not trying to do any breath exercise. However, if it happens to be that way, you may start noticing movements in your brain. And breath in and breath out. And at this point, we are going to start winding down the meditation. And before we stop, I'm going to ask you to repeat the line I'm going to say in your own mind and say it 3 times to yourself in order to end the meditation. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. And with that, we'll end our meditation and open your eyes slowly at first and then all the way. So now I hope you enjoyed this breath awareness meditation. Now, the ones who may feel that it's either too easy or too difficult to do, I'm going to propose doing one thing. I'm going to propose that choose enough time in one day. I'm hoping for at least 1 hour and do this meditation for 1 hour. Even when the position gets painful and difficult, whatever way in which you start, even when it gets difficult, sit through it. On your own, try to do 1 hour of mindfulness meditation, breath awareness, and let's see if you are able to do that. There is a value in sitting through the discomfort. One of the values is body and mind are connected. So whatever you're training your body to do, the mind is getting trained as well. So the mind is also getting trained into sitting through things that you have a big intention to. And you can imagine that will help you to get things done with a focus. So I challenge you to do it for 1 hour, and I would love to hear from you how your determination, how did it go? Okay, Ron, I guess either liked the meditation or liked the story of mindfulness. Thank you, Ron. And now I'm going to answer a couple of questions that I have received on the email, which is basically that about some of the things we have already addressed. But as I said, remove the distractions in the beginning. Some people have questions about if they are doing breath awareness at the same time as they are doing some other activity. They're really focusing on the breath. Is that the same thing? I would say no. At this point, would help you to focus just on the breath in the meditation form instead of trying to multitask as well, because our purpose is not simply to focus and concentrate. Our focus, our goal or intention is also awareness. Some people are not in touch with their body. They're not used to paying attention to whatever is going on and how to interpret certain signals. Some people, on the other hand, are overly aware of their body. Every little thing, every little signal in the body means so much to them that sometimes they become very anxious or they may get into panic mode. But we want to go the middle way, not too anxious and panicky. Neither do we want to live like James Joyce's Mr. Duffy, who always lived 3 inches away from his body. So we would like to get in touch with our body to know what is going on with our breath, but at the same time, not to have the my sensitivity, oversensitivity to all the signals in the body. If you have those kinds of sensitivities, then how do we deal with that using mindfulness? One more time, guys, you have to wait. In fact, we have this unique opportunity of having 6 weeks of thinking about mindfulness, hearing about different parts of mindfulness. As I said, I'll tell you stories, real life stories, or stories that are associated with this thinking. I will also talk about research studies, and I'll also talk about seminal figures in this area. And we'll meditate as well. And I'll tell you exercises if you want to really get into that. With this, you should know almost everything a person with basic, beginning or even more intermediate theory and practice of mindfulness they would know about. Actual practice, that depends on you. And of course, that's where the crux lies. Actual practice. Now, Eugenia has a question. Eugenia is saying, curious how Buddha, the ancients, figured out mindfulness meditation technique. Did they draw from other types of meditation being done in India before Buddha discovered mindfulness method? Or is it completely new? That's a great question. And I'm going to answer this question based on what I know. There was the type of, there were, of course, meditation existed in Vedic tradition, which was way before Buddha's times. The Hindu tradition existed for long time before Buddha's time. In fact, Buddha was born Hindu. And as I said, he did study ascetic Hinduism before he actually went on his own. So there was the meditation style, but it was not mindfulness meditation style. Vedic style of meditation basically is about emptying your mind or making your mind devoid of any thoughts. And that meditation is very hard. And the purpose of that meditation, I believe, would be different. So, from what I understand, this idea of awareness here and now in reality, what is happening with my body and my mind? Take away all the stories that we generally make. Take away any belief or faith about superstition or praying or going somewhere else. And if I ask this to God, then God will give me this or I'll get some superpower. It is not about that. It's simply about awareness of this moment without judgment, simply observing in order to create the right type of non-attachment. This kind of awareness, from what I understand, is something Buddha came up with. His name was Siddhartha. And some of you may know about the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, or they may have seen the movie Siddhartha, which is very much based on Gautama, the Buddha's life. Once he became enlightened, he was called Buddha. So that was his contribution. This awareness or knowing in pure and here and now way. And then it starts from there and then goes on from there. But that's a really good question. And that was the genius of Buddha. And as I said, although what we are doing or what we are studying is a totally secular way, we must give credit to the person who came up with. And the people who are religious and who think about Buddha as the God, I do not mean to offend them at all. In fact, I think Buddha was a true genius. But those who don't have the religious upbringing or orientation, or those who have scientific orientation, for them this is particularly appealing. Now there is a book by Stephen Batchelor, and next time I'll give you the link to his book. It's called Buddhism for Atheists. So it's a really good book for those who want to think about Gautama the Buddha as a person, not as by now who has become maybe one of the gods. So with that, I think we have run out of time. So I'm going to say bye to you and I'll see you all tomorrow.